Hey, good morning. As always, it is great to see you on the Sunday morning. I encourage you this morning to share your thoughts and ideas and greetings in the chat all day. It's always good to see you and to hear from you. I want to share with you a couple of announcements that are important. First of all, next Sunday, we're going to hold Lobby Church at Coon Rapids UMC at 10 a.m. And after that, we're going to do what we call every year hanging of the greens. So we're going to decorate our sanctuary for Christmas. I encourage you to come be a part of that. It is really fun. Also, looking ahead on December 21st, Sunday, the choir is presenting their cantata for this Christmas. Always a great time. And today, yep, we got a bunch more food on Friday. Like, I think we've gotten like 10,000 pounds lately. I encourage you to show up today if you have hands and feet and want to help. We need to unpack a pallet, kids. We had a youth group come actually from Lino Lakes this last Friday night, sixth grade boys. And you know what, you guys, they killed it. They unpacked 2 pallets and we told them they had to quit. We need to unpack another pallet today after church if you're available to come help. If not, I do encourage you to get involved, email Tammy or call the church office. We have so much food right now, especially in this coming week. We're expecting a lot of food. Call, sign up to serve, whatever. Let's get involved and make it happen. So before we dig in today, I would like to pray over this time. Gracious God, we ask that you would continually lead us and guide us in your ways of love. Amen. So last Sunday, I talked with you about a willingness to be able to see people and their circumstances, to not assume that the way we've experienced life is the same for other people, particularly if our life was easy and my life easy growing up. It does not mean it's easy for people today or people who are different from me or us or anyone. Do you follow me? I talked about developing compassion and empathy and being able to see and meet their needs. So, in light of that, I want to talk about this today because compassion and empathy are complicated. I know, I don't even like this sermon very much because it's challenging, but I want you to stay with me because this is another one of those weeks where I do not have all the answers. And I hope I'm raising good questions and bringing some things to your awareness. So let's look at this together today. I want to look at this in light of a story that only shows up in this one gospel, in the Gospel of Luke, in chapter 10, verses 25 through 37. You'll recognize the story. An expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. Remember that word test. Teacher, he said, what must I do to inherit eternal life? He said to him, what is written in the law? What do you read there? And he answered, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus said to him, you have given the right answer. Do this and you will live. There's a lot to unpack through all that, but we've unpacked it many times. I'm going to keep digging. But wanting to vindicate himself, the teacher of the law, rich man, asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? This is very important. And Jesus replies with a parable. Here's what he says. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into the hands of robbers who stripped him, beat him, and took off, leaving him half dead. You will recognize this, I think. Now, by chance, a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So, likewise, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, while traveling, came upon him, and when he saw him, he was moved with compassion, which is exactly what I was talking about last Sunday, okay? A lot to say here about these particular pieces, a priest, a Levite, and a Samaritan. And truly, at that time, a Samaritan was the least likely person to help somebody else like this. It's a long story, sort of, but keep going. He went to him, and he bandaged his wounds, treating them with oil and wine. And he put him, I'm getting a beep. Are we okay? Okay. And then he put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day, he took out 2 denarii, their money, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, "Take care of him, and when I come back, I will repay you whatever more you spend." Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? Remember the word neighbor, okay? He said, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus said, "Go and do likewise." Okay, you recognize it now, the parable of the Good Samaritan. It is a commonly used parable to advocate for helping our neighbor for matters of social justice and care and concern for our community. Very common parable. And it seems really pretty straightforward, right? Real clear. You see somebody in need, you help them. Well, it is not clear. It's complicated. It really, truly is complicated. It's something about this parable. Remember, with parables, first of all, this only shows up in one gospel. So why we make it the most important parable ever, I'm not sure, but it's a good parable. But why we make it black and white, I'm not sure either, because I don't know how Jesus could have intended black and white, really, truly, like when you see someone in need, you always help, because you can't. And this is the part of the sermon I don't like. We can't. Okay, we can't always help. And I've always felt some weirdness about the priest and the Levite who get beat up here for not stopping to help, because we have no idea what was going on in their world. And maybe when Jesus actually told this story, if he did, seeing as it only shows up in one gospel, it's not one of those, yeah, for sure kind of items. But maybe Jesus added a little more color to the story or tone, because gosh, the priest and the Levite get a really bad rap for not stopping to help the Samaritan or help the man on the side of the road. Well, we're going to talk about this a little more. During the government shutdown recently, this woman, Nicolene Monroe, using this scripture as a part of her basis, but other things too, like love your neighbor, love your enemy even, Nicolene decided to start calling churches to see if they would help a mother and a baby in need. Now, this is very important because Nicolene, I don't believe, has a baby. So she was misrepresenting her situation and herself. Um, and she called a lot of churches to see if they would offer formula, explaining that she needed it. Now, Nicolene already has a huge social media following. So when people saw the videos she was making of the phone calls, they sent her recommendations of which church they should call next, including their own sometimes. They said, test my church, or hey, test that church down the street that's growing and doing all these things, or whatever. And so she ended up calling a lot of churches, which, gosh, the videos are just brutal. Here's one. Listen to this.
Okay, so I'm going to be attempting to call the East Somerset Baptist Church. I tried to call there earlier, right at 9 o'clock. It was like 9:03, and they were not answering yet. So we are going to try them again and see if they answer and if they're willing to help.
Good morning, East Somerset Baptist Church.
Hi, yes. I was calling to see if you all were able to help. I have a baby, and I do not have formula for the week for her, and I was wanting to see if y'all were able to help.
They stopped doing anything out of the church office about 2 years ago. We give to some places in town that, might be able to help you, like God's Food Pantry or Perm, but they don't do anything out of the church office.
Okay, so y'all don't do anything to help?
Not directly out of the office, no.
What does it mean when you say directly out of the office?
I mean that we give, like, some of our missions budget to places in town for that kind of a thing. Like to AIM, like sometimes AIM can help, or First Choice Clinic, we give to them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And there's that. They do not help your community. Not even to a mother who needs to feed her baby.
Okay. Did you pick up on the tone of judgment that Nicolene offers? Is that what you noticed? Or did you think, That East Somerset Baptist Church. How could they say no to a mom asking for formula for a baby? Ugh. This needs to be talked about, friends. This is a rough, rough situation, okay? Hear me out. Nicolay sets this up as a kind of litmus test, which she thinks will determine whether or not churches are actually following Jesus, okay? Because in her mind, any church that was actually following Jesus would respond to her request and provide the baby formula that she says that she needs. Uh, this is how she determines whether or not a church is Christian, okay? Although some of the church representatives who she talked with did offer to buy the formula or even send her money, many did not or simply could not. And this is extremely important, okay? Nicolay criticized the churches, even misspelling the word criticized. Sorry. Did I? Yeah. The churches that did not offer to help very harshly. And she made many of these videos, okay? Suggesting that if anyone was supporting these churches who were not willing to help a mother and her baby, they should reconsider making any donations to these churches. And many people, through the comments and other videos made about her work, piled on the criticism for churches. Ah, as soon as I saw it, I felt just deep pain, like my gut just wrenched over it. Okay, that's why we got to talk about it. Well, that's not. I just really felt it would be helpful because this is important. Her videos got millions of views, millions, and shares, and the story even made some news outlets. Many of the pastors of the churches that did not respond to her need were quick to criticize and the experiment itself, or even attack Nicolay personally. This I have a whole lot of problem with because um, some pastors got crazy. They went, that's not fair. Some pastors went extreme. They went so far as to say she was a witch. Some even said and made videos posting this that she was filled with demons for misrepresenting. She was a liar. Some people, pastors, even said she's the reason why churches don't give money to people because she was making this up. Um, they got really, really harsh with her. And I'm not really sure about that. I'm not feeling really harsh with Nicolay, and I'll tell you more about that, okay? Other pastors, however, saw her videos and used it to try to motivate, which is a good thing, but also even shame their congregants into giving more money or taking meaningful action in their community, which is a good thing. I don't know how to judge those things either. A few approached it more humbly, offering an apology for churches in general, promising to do better for their community. However, this is a problem because they seemed to support her test as valid, as a valid indicator of whether or not churches are following Jesus, whether they could or even should respond to her request for baby formula or just money outright. Okay? Hear me out. This is the person who went on and on last week about compassion and empathy. In fact, I intended to attach this to last Sunday's sermon, but I knew it would be way too long, and I wanted to talk about it more fully. So, stay with me. Considering the good that we and many other churches do for our or their community for many reasons, I really believe that Nicolay, if you hadn't guessed already, has set up an unfair test for churches because, friends, this is complicated. It really is. And it's unfortunate that it is, but it is complicated. Do I personally want to buy formula for every mom and baby? Yes. Can I? No. Remember this parable, right? Jesus' teaching seems to be so black and white here. If we see someone in need, we're supposed to help them, right? Every time, right? Isn't that kind of what his parable sounds like here? Maybe I'm making excuses, but we all know that this isn't as easy as it seems. It really is complicated. And additionally, about this parable, the question it is answering is not when we should help others, but rather, really, who is my neighbor? Which is clear. I don't know how you miss that. Everyone is our neighbor. In fact, even our enemies are our neighbors, which is already very hard, tough to do. But the reality is, we have all encountered people in need and struggled to know what to do. Tell me I'm wrong. I can't be wrong. You know it's true. Chime in. Simply put, we cannot always provide what they're asking for. And often what they're asking for is truly a legitimate need, really. And we try to discern, is this a legitimate need this time? Or we don't at the church here. I'll get to this, okay? But it's really tough when you experience someone's life in a way that just pulls your heart out of your body, and yet you still can't always. Sometimes you can't ever. It's just, gosh. Often people here share information with people in need about our food giveaways. And I think that's a really important thing to do. There's an information sheet available in the lobby here at the church, or just point them to Tuesdays 6 to 7, Fridays 4 to 6. Every week, we never close, not even Thanksgiving week. We are open all week. In fact, we're expecting to have so much food this week, we're actually concerned about being able to move it all. And in fact, if you want Brussels sprouts, you can have as many as you want today. Come get them. Okay. I'm serious. Um, so providing information about how someone can get some help, I think helps a lot. So I encourage you to pick up the information, reach out, whatever. We keep talking about making smaller cards that people could carry around maybe in their purse or their wallet. I'll do that. I'll make that a priority. But I want to talk about this further. Here at this church, and you have to know this, Tammy, who is our program manager for Spirit of Matthew 25, and I personally get calls every single week, sometimes every single day, from people looking for all kinds of help. In fact, I got a call this morning when I was in the shower that I listened to the voicemail on the way. Trust me, I was safe driving. I can do it, talk. Just so painful. Another person desperately seeking help, and I'll call her back. Also, people stop by here pretty regularly, and all kinds of people outside of our giveaway events. They may not realize what they are, asking for food or money or gas cards or anything. People are truly desperate. Many people are, and we've been identified as a generous church because we are. We don't hoard anything. Well, the chips behind me will go real quick. We move it as fast as we can. We don't have, yeah. Unfortunately, though, while we can offer kindness, care, and connections to other resources, we can't give away money. We can't. You might be saying, why? 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 Well, number one, we don't have it. We don't. We really don't. Truly, we don't have it. Two, this sets a precedent that we can't continue for everyone. I want you to hear me say this. This is not an ask for donations. I am not soliciting to you to go buy gift cards so we can give them away to people who walk in all the time. I am not asking you to donate money for a special fund to help people who walk in the door or call on the phone. We can't do it, you guys, as a church organization. And this is something we talk about here all the time. It is not an easy decision to make. You guys, we can't do it for everyone, and word gets around. Oh, this church gave them this much money. This church gave them this much money. I'm going to ask too, why didn't they give anything to me? It sets a precedent we can't maintain. And it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe we are wrong about this, but man, this is tough. However, we do have food. It's so grateful that we can offer food, and we can offer a lot of food. We can offset people's groceries by so much money, especially if they come Tuesdays and Fridays every week. We can offer so much good food, healthy food. This last Friday, we had these giant, beautiful heads of broccoli that was fresh and beautiful. And as I mentioned, we do have Brussels sprouts. So I hope you like them. We need you to take them. We offer food all the time, and we have friendly people who will go get it and receive it and store it and sort it, and we'll sort it and store it hopefully today at 11 o'clock, set it up and share it with our community. And when we work together, friends, we make a huge difference. And people tell us this all the time. They've learned that we can't give them money, but we can do this, and maybe this will offset their expenses. I know it will, in such a way that then they can afford the car repair they need. But we can give food Tuesdays from 6 to 7 and Fridays from 4 to 6. Okay, so even though we can give you food, we still have to limit that. We have to limit how many choices from the table each station, and we have to limit it to our food giveaway events. Simply put, we've had to come to the decision over the last years we've been doing this now that we don't have the resources to be open for people coming in for food all day, every day. Please tell me you understand. This is really hard. I just needed to share it with you. We wrestle with this all of the time. And you know what? I know I talk about Tammy a lot, but if you know her or have even talked with her, you know that she has just a heart of gold, just massive compassion for people. And she's watching probably, so I'm sorry if I'm embarrassing you, but I just wanted to hear you say that this is heavy on Tammy's heart, how often she has to say no. And again, this is not a plea for you to donate money. It's something that she has also been a part of deciding we can't, and it's hard. We can't offer food, but we can't offer money. And we can't even offer food all the time. We have to turn people away. And it's why we put up this sign right outside door A. If you've been around here, you've probably seen it. If you've been here Tuesday nights or Fridays, you didn't see it because we don't need it then. We put it out there. It's out there all the time, except during our food giveaways. Thank you, Deb. Need to know that you get it because this is hard, friends. We're trying to give good information to people about when we can help and how we can help and when they should come back. This keeps people from getting out of their cars and having to come in and frankly, beg for food. We can just tell them when we can. And gosh, it's so hard. It's so painful. It's important to acknowledge here that despite all the good that we do for our community, and you guys, it's a lot. It's just, we've become huge. Not bragging, just honored. This has become really huge. I'd come around, check it out. I'll take you on a tour, and you'll say, "Holy smokes, I had no idea." If you haven't been here before, you will say, "I had no idea." I guarantee it. It's huge. It's complex, and it's amazing. However, if Nicoli called Coon Rapids UMC in spirit of Matthew 25, even us, yes, Mary, even us, we would fail her test. And that is the first thing I thought when I saw her video. We would fail her test. And that's really, really hard. It's just really hard. We would fail her test. Yep. Even though Jesus seems, well, the way the story is written in the Gospel of Luke, it seems that Jesus is making it really obvious and easy that when we see someone in need, we help them, even if it costs us. But in reality, it's complicated. However, that doesn't mean we should dismiss the people in need who we meet. Every opportunity we have to help someone is worth thinking about and praying about. Can I help this time? How can I help this time? Would this actually be helpful? Am I just trying to be a hero right now or to feel good about myself? So many questions. We need careful discernment and wisdom because honestly, me as just Diana at the grocery store, if the person in front of me can't pay for all of their food, I'm going to pitch in, probably. Someone asks me, Diana, when I'm out and around about things, then I'm thank you, Rod. Yes, it's true. Yes, almost every church would fail, Lisa, because they have to. But me as a person, am I going to help? Yes, sometimes. Other times I'm going to say, nope, here's how to get food at Coon Rapids UMC. Please come, please come. Everyone's welcome all the time. Yes, yes. This is one reason why I keep telling you that love is the harder path. I know Jesus says, my yoke is easy and my burden's light. He's not talking about this. Jesus demonstrates with his entire life and death that love is not easy. It is not easy. Not at all. To love well, though, we need to be willing to think about what we do, when, and why. It's complicated, but it's worth it. It's worth it. We do not give up on this goal to be compassionate and empathetic and loving and generous. We just have to think carefully about how we do it. We need to pray through, process through, think within ourselves, sometimes very quickly. Why we're inclined to say no, why we're inclined to say yes, what can we actually do to help? And here at the church, it's man, we have conversations about this all the time. And we have to keep having these conversations because new information keeps emerging or new situations come up. It's worth it. The spirit of Matthew 25 leaders here would all agree with me. It's worth it. I know that because we talk about it all the time. The church leadership would agree. It's worth it. And the early learning center leadership, it's worth thinking carefully about it because there are times we need to say yes. It's so hard. You get it? But there's another point I want to make here. We need to be very careful with litmus tests. Even though we can learn a lot about things through simple interactions, we likely cannot see every complexity involved or every circumstance. Let me give you a couple examples. There are litmus tests that we offer, like if we're trying to determine if someone is really in need, we might look at their shoes, see if they're nice new shoes. As far as you know, the last car that pulled up to that intersection dropped a pair of shoes on them. You know, but sometimes we judge that. Or if they pull up to, let's say, a food giveaway and they're driving a really nice car, sometimes we're tempted to say, well, this person's not in need. They look at their car. It's a nicer car than I'll ever have. Um, well, you don't know. We don't know. This is why this is a judgment free zone, period. Period. Judgment free zone on Tuesdays, Fridays, second Sundays, every day. That's it. Judgment free zone. Because as far as you know, that person with the really nice car just got a huge medical debt they weren't expecting for them or their spouse, and they already own the car, so they can't sell the car. And maybe they're making payments on the car, and the car is almost paid off. You get what I'm saying? There's a lot of reasons why people might have a nice car. Maybe they're not even picking up for themselves. Maybe they're picking up for a neighbor or a friend or a kid or a parent. You don't know. We don't judge. That's why. But there are other kinds of litmus tests that we set out there for each other, but also for churches. And I'm gonna push into one that might be a little sensitive, and I know some of you might disagree with me on this. But one of the litmus tests we hold for churches, well, one of them is, are they doing anything for their community? And I'll admit, I hold that one, but I also offer compassion because I understand that this is weird what we can do here. I've worked in a lot of churches, and not every church has people who are able, physically able, to bust themselves up over this like this. Okay, a lot of compassion. But another litmus test we might set out for churches would be things like, do they have a large youth and children's population or program? And then we determine whether or not they're a vital or viable or even lasting kind of church, whether or not they have a lot of kids and youth. Friends, that is a poor litmus test. I'm not willing to die on a hill over it, but I am willing to sustain some pretty severe injuries over that after years of working, truly years of working in churches, like all of this time, my life. Before pastoring in music, I can tell you that lots of kids and youth is not necessarily an indicator of church health or vitality or meaning. I can also tell you that churches that don't have very many kids or youth in traditional kids or youth programs are killing it with generosity and love. And this is one of them. We're different. And it also works. These litmus tests that we throw out for each other, churches, Christians, things like that, we need to be really careful with. These are a part of those biases that we have built, and they can be very, very, very hurtful. Some of the churches that Nicolai called were so hurt by this. They didn't call here, by the way. I'm glad because we would have failed. But they were hurt by it. Like, hey, we don't have, think of the assumptions built into her question. She's assuming that churches have money. She's assuming that the person answering the phone has the ability to give her money, like they have it on hand, or they can just Venmo her money. She's making a lot of assumptions. Churches aren't necessarily full of people who have a whole lot of extra money. They're not. In fact, churches should be full of everybody, right? A lot of assumptions in her question. Just so sad. But I want to share with you some really good news, okay? And this just came up in the last couple of days. See, because I was trying to figure out how to end the sermon with boo, don't do that, do this instead. But I want you to see a little twist in the story here that happened with Nicolai and her experiment. You ready? After she did this experiment, many people who follow her and many others from whom it spun around started to share links with her. Basically, instead of, some people judged her and tore her up, a lot of people completely agreed with her and said, this is why I'm never going to church anymore. This is why I left the church. This is what's wrong with church. Church should just all blow up, and I'm critical of church sometimes, often. I don't really think that's true, but I want you to hear this, okay? People shared links with her. She learned about some churches. She learned that many churches and other organizations and also individual people, small communities are doing great things. They may not be able to offer a can of baby formula. Please don't drop off cans of baby formula. Okay, hear me. Don't bring baby formula, okay? Because baby formula is really varied and go look, there's many different kinds. Do not drop off baby formula, okay? And it's also got a short shelf life. Okay, don't do it. They are doing great things for their community. They are. And she learned this. She learned it. And there's one video, several videos of her speaking much more humbly about it, saying, okay, so I learned. This is so important, friends. She jumped out there with a litmus test, got responses. Some of them beat her up, and some of them just helped her learn. And she learned. And because of that, it prompted her to get more involved herself, starting a nonprofit to coordinate efforts in multiple states. I am super thankful for that. She learned. She was willing to learn. Her perception of churches, though, I'm not so sure she's learned that yet. Maybe that's the message I send to her. Hey, Nicolai, your perception of the role of church in the community, I don't know about that. I'm not so sure about that perception. And it comes by honest. A lot of people, a lot of cultures believe that the role of the church is to take care of its members financially, and that comes honest through the way missions work. It's a long story. All of that. Sometime I'll talk about that. But it really, the goal of the church, I believe, is to work together as a community to do what we can for our neighbor, and that's everybody. See, love is really complicated. It's hard to know. when to help, how to help. Sometimes we do need to help. We shouldn't just ignore every single opportunity, really. We have to think about it. But it's worth the effort, it's worth the thought, it's worth the energy we put towards it. See, that's the thing. Love is complicated because it brings us compassion and empathy, and sometimes that leads to honest to goodness heartbreak. Heartbreak for people who are really struggling, heartbreak for a system that's broken that creates so little opportunity for people who have so many disadvantages. It's complicated, but I'm going to say it over and over. I really, truly believe it's worth it. It really is worth it. So, once again, friends, as I always say on Sundays, get involved. Just like Nicolai is getting involved, like many people are getting involved. We've had more new volunteers lately, and it's fantastic. We love to work with people, hear ideas, make things happen. Get involved wherever you are, whatever community you're a part of, wherever you live. If you don't live in Minnesota, it doesn't. I don't. You can get involved here. We're a great opportunity, but there are many. Get involved in the good work. I believe that's how we represent Jesus. I believe that's how we represent love as the way, is we invest our time and energy and our resources in doing what we can do and doing it well. I think this is God's call for the church and for all people. So again, friends, I encourage you, get involved. I hope you will reach out, show up today if you want to help sort a pallet. We got to dig out of the piles here. I look forward to seeing all of you guys soon. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving this week. Take some time to offer gratitude to God for all things. Take care, and I will see you soon.